I think it's fair to say we've all had friends like this, haven't we? The sort of person. I was recently sat in an outside bar, right? Just there having a cup of tea and listening, of course, to this couple talking. And he was very, very obliging, chatting away. And this woman literally moaned and moaned about everything from a career to her living arrangements to what she felt was a problem in her life, etc. And this poor man never got a word in, right? She excused herself, went to the convenience room, and conveniently, of course, I just looked around. He rolled his eyes at me. I looked at him and I thought, goodness, you deserve a medal. Some people might say that Prince Harry, the former royal, deserves something of a medal, quite frankly, for being married to Meghan Markle. And I'm not being unkind. Clearly, she's a very difficult, demanding, and wants her own way type of girl. Of course, he was warned about this on numerous occasions, not more so than by his elder brother, His Royal Highness the Prince of Wales, Prince William. But Harry felt that he knew best and could push ahead, and consequently things were going to be all rosy in the garden. What he's finding out is, even now, a date night can turn into something of a catastrophe. As ever, let me explain. Morning chums, lovely to see you. Thank you so much as ever for taking the time out to join me today, and welcome one and all brand new subscribers. Hope you don't mind me telling you that story at the beginning, but it really sort of, engulfed me in a sense, because I felt, when you're listening to somebody, you think, who's actually taken all of this in? This poor person who's having to listen to this endless stuff about why their life's difficult, why things are not going well, the sort of thing. The same really could be said for Prince Harry. You see, there's a theory going on behind the scenes now, and I don't really take into this because I've often said that people can use photography, filming, to really transmit how they're feeling. You can ask somebody something, but consequently catching them off guard on camera or in a snap, well, it saves it all. And many people now believe that Prince Harry sometimes plays up for the cameras to look depressed, fed up, miserable, whatever you want to call it, so that gets his attention. And also Meghan Markle sort of grinning, of course, like a piranha in the background. Well, it's the sort of thing, that's what she does. She wants to make sure that you can't get that negative picture, the negative thing that people can say about her, Meghan didn't look good, all that sort of stuff. Now, as you know, what's happened over the last couple of days, what should have been a wonderful celebration for a person who clearly, whether you like the background or the way she got started or not, Kris Jenner, the former flight attendant who married well and climbed all the way up that ladder in the land of La La Land and Hollywood alongside her very, well, shall we say, accomplished daughters in marketing themselves. Well, this was her big 70th birthday. As I told you, they were hoping to get real royals like Princess Beatrice, Eugenie, and of course the aforementioned Fergie. Then they fell out of favour and radical rethinking had to be done. Personally, maybe they would have been a quieter option than actually having what followed through. Now, you know this because I told you in the previous video, Meghan was unhappy with this particular picture that was put up on Kris Jenner's post, according to a staff member. And this really, I would say, I can understand that. In fact, if you're Meghan, it doesn't exactly show her off to her most glamorous self. But, you're not in control of the picture. Once you go out into the public domain as a celebrity, you lose all control over that. What you can do if you set up pictures, and Meghan Markle is very good at this, and I would say the best way of seeing this is the pictures that they were sent out when they were in Canada. If you remember Meghan with that glued on hat with suddenly this illustrious hair that appeared from nowhere, those pictures were particularly flattering. That's because there's an agreement about lighting, shading, and exactly the sign-off. Meghan would have said, I like that, we'll go with that one. She didn't have that control with Kris Jenner. However, things then decided to take a turn for the worst. And as I often say, this is the thing. Remember, this is not your birthday party. You want to go there and you want to be seen with all the rich, the powerful and the famous. You want to try and mix with the Jeff Bezoses in the hope that they may want to invest in your fledgling entrepreneurial company of jams and candles and all that sort of stuff. So you would have thought just to be near them would be enough, would be quiet. But you see, Meghan utilises the royal moniker to her very best advantage. They were told you don't need to call her mom. I mean, that's very nice, isn't it, at somebody's birthday party? And consequently, it was all going to be an easy affair. It's just Meghan and Harry. In fairness to Harry, in the pictures that we've already seen so far, you can see that he's not bothered about looking for the camera. Meghan always is. And this is where the problem then ensued. Naturally, pictures were put together and naturally they were put out on social media. Let's not forget that this is exactly what the Kardashians do. They live their life through social media. Meghan knows this herself because she's now returned to social media and utilises it for her own benefits, utilising, of course, pictures of her children, which we never get to really see, but apparently we're be thrilled the fact that she's showing at least some imagery. Oh, I know, this is the world of social media, right, Meghan? Well, consequently, Meghan and her team apparently didn't like the pictures, but apparently it got even worse. You see, they hadn't agreed the pictures in advance. Now, the problem that you've got with this is, as I said, if it's not your party and these things aren't in agreement, then that's your problem. Now, Meghan was pictured with Kim Kardashian, which you would have thought, as I said, would simply be enough. There's a very successful woman with her own TV series, mauled by critics but still popular with the fans. Meghan needs all the help she can get. And this is truly what she does time and time again. And we've seen this, right? You know, she's very close to people, fast friends like Emma Gurdy, you know, sitting there with her on, of course, her podcast. Suddenly, you know, she's fast friends with the Bloomberg originals and everything's going hunky-dory. Look at the way that she worked Drew Barrymore, in forcing Drew Barrymore to announce her as Meghan Sussex. Remember that? All of that was going really well. And you need these people. Hence the reason why Emily Robinson, in my opinion, just had enough and thought, well, I've got you all of this stuff, and each and every time, again, allegedly, you blow it. And this is exactly what Meghan does. According to an excellent source, bottom line is that Meghan wanted to have the pictures back just so that she could curate them, right. Well, that really means in celebrity terms, chums, is basically I need to make sure the filters are right, the pictures are right, and you know, the lighting, everything, because everything Meghan does is literally heavily filtered. You've seen all of those pictures, and if you notice with her cooking stuff, she only ever shows her hands simply because she doesn't then need to get made up or get the lighting in. It cuts a lot of the cost down. So consequently, because they are the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, and because the Kardashians are nice people, they took the pictures down as requested. Now, apparently, they were supposed to be getting them back, fully sorted, as it were, you know, put together, etc. As at the time of recording this, the pictures have not yet returned. So the momentum for utilising or indeed agreeing or allowing the fact that Meghan Markle has now been invited to such a big event, probably one of the biggest parties of 2025, and many would suspect, of course, desperate for that invite, given the fact that the day after, she then got Netflix to post up their poster of Meghan's return back to the As Meghan with Love Meghan, the final outing on the streaming giant. You know, that was good publicity. As I told you, though, behind the scenes, Kris Jenner allegedly was not too happy with the fact that this particular ensemble, the whole thing, was really hijacked over Poppygate. So there's a bit of a battle going on both sides. Now, the thing is, when Meghan's team have probably finished etching out all the scratches, whatever Meghan doesn't like, whatever she perceives that she doesn't like on those pictures, well, then they will be returned, because effectively they're not Meghan Markle's property. They're property of the snapper that was on site that doesn't really belong to Meghan. You get the picture. This is how Hollywood works. I've worked in it a long time. I know exactly the control that these people want for their imagery. But where does this really leave that problem? Well, the problem is, if you are now Kim Kardashian, if you are now Kris Jenner, would you honestly think about inviting Meghan again? I mean, this is the problem. Harry is always welcomed, always liked, and always goes away with a positive review. Most people think he's an affable chappy that absolutely is no problem, happy to just stand and chat with people, get a drink. Meghan is always beelining for the next person, the person she can be snapped with, throwing her arms around, rubbing their back, making sure that she is seen by the right people. Now, the Kardashians have made a career of this. They will never, ever step away from that. They know exactly where their fame comes from. But if you're Meghan and you desperately want to climb up the role of, you know, Hollywood starlet, or whatever you want to call it, at age 44, you now need to be a little less trouble. And according to insiders, apparently Meghan Markle has now turned into being something of more trouble than she's worth. Let's be blunt, though. I think we all knew that before the invite, right? It's a developing story. When I know more, you'll know more. Neil Sean in the very heart of London.